Welcome again to SocksOutRacing. Today we're going to just go over a little bit of a preseason practice we had the other night at Summit Point, just as a way to get things started for our 2015 Summer Series. We put it up to a vote on what vehicles we were going to run and what format. Turned out we'll be running an MX-5 and Ford Mustang for the series as a multi-class. So this is our first multi-class and we're really excited for it. The cool thing is there's a new tire model out on iRacing, so it's changed the cars up a bit. So to start off with the Mustang, if you had driven it previously, maybe in season 2 or in another series, uh, it it was still, a big heavy car. I mean, the car weighs almost 2,000 or 4,000 pounds, 2 tons. Um, but it felt almost too grippy in certain regards. And since the tire model update, it drives more like your traditional live axle muscle car. It's it's kind of neutral in the middle of the turn, but it has a tendency to push at entry, and it can get real out of hand on exit if you're not careful. It is live axle, so at Summit Point, there's sections of the track is very uneven, especially in the back couple corners, and it really tends to upset the car. So it has made practice very interesting. Now, as we move on and take a look at the MX-5, it also has gone through a number of changes, and the new tire model is just one of those. Uh, Drivers from on the forums have commented about its increased oversteer, its more balanced attitude, and just how much more driving the car requires. Uh, if anybody's driven the MX-5 in real life, they realize that, I mean, that's just kind of how the car is, and it's a lot of fun because of it. So some of the drivers, you can see Mulder there just starting to struggle a little bit with it. It can get out of shape now, so it adds a new dynamic to the MX-5. So what do the cars look like together? Well, it's a bit of a push and pull here at Summit Point, and I'm sure as we try some of the other courses out this week, we'll see similar dynamics. The Mustang definitely has the power on the straight, but because of its weight and less tire for that weight, considering that weight, it creates a push-pull dynamic with the MX-5s, which will make traffic all the more interesting. Uh, the Mustang will pull ahead on the straightaways, providing they're long enough, but the MX-5 tends to carry more speed out of the corner now in relationship to the Mustang, and so everything just stays nice and tight, especially through the tight sections of the track. Here in this back section where the Mustang really kind of has the tiptoe because of all the uneven pavement, that live axle, if it gets out of shape, it can turn into a tank slapper and kind of ruin the day. So the MX-5s, they're independent rear, and that does help, especially with the weight. So getting into the race, we originally were supposed to have 3 Mustangs at grid up, but one of them had to leave. We're not quite sure why. But we got that red 56 who qualified on pole. I was about a second off from him in best lap time. And then you have the sea of MX-5s following us. Now, what was funny was at the start, because the MX-5 has less horsepower, it was much easier for drivers to get off the line, and they did get up beside me at the start. You see everybody just kind of shuffle through turn 1 just wonderfully, and it gives you a general idea on just the horsepower difference between the cars. I mean, it's one thing to hear about it, it's another thing to see it. And I don't think many of our drivers were over 3,000 I rating, or if they were just barely above it. I haven't really gone to check, but it gives you a fair idea on kind of where the vehicles are going to set out. So even with lap 1 kind of wrapping up, you see the MX-5s would kind of turn to this nice train, and the 2 Mustangs kind of sitting up front, but still within eye shot. They're not leaving the field as you might be accustomed to if you were, say, in a Solstice running against them, the Mustangs in, say, the GTC series on iRacing. So that is a little bit different. Using what we experienced in GTC, we were anticipating to see the Mustangs leave the field a lot quicker. So it's kind of been a pleasant surprise in that regard. Now further back, we're going to look at the MX-5s for a little bit because the racing was by far the most interesting. Just everybody, their first time kind of getting a feel for the car with the new tire model and the updates to the chassis that have done. And I don't know, about halfway or a quarter of the way through the race, the 52 car or 56 car, the red Mustang there, and myself, still moderately close. He's definitely quicker, but he made enough mistakes that I was able to keep up a little bit as he went wide there and entering the technical section here in the back. And as nice as it was to kind of get the lead, he was able to get alongside me and make me nervous enough that, well, I just don't like too wide through this high-speed sweeper, so it's better he sits in front still. Um, so the going too wide with the Mustang, at least here it was a little bit hairy at times, but the racing was still a lot of fun. And I think, but during the race, the 56 got down in the high 122s. So I'm not sure how that compares to the old tire model and what the Mustang was able to perform, but it'd be interesting to look that up. Further back, you can still see the MX-5s are still pretty well held together. This is towards midway of the race, maybe just after the halfway point. I think it was lap 5 or 6. But lap 7 was kind of trouble for both Mustangs. First, the 56 car gets sideways out of turn 4 and puts it in the wall. And then a little bit later, you've got the myself getting sideways out of the technical section at the back. So come to last 2 laps, we had this great battle at the front. We had the number 70 car and the number 97 just putting on quite a show. I mean, this is a practice race. There's no points involved. It's just giving everybody some time to get a feel for the new model on these tracks with the dynamic weather conditions that we'll be utilizing for the actual series. So coming on as we start the final lap, the 97 car has really worked hard all race to catch up to the leaders. And you can see him now, he's following the draft. Now he's making a play for the outside as they come up to the first turn of the last lap. It's getting really exciting here, and both cars seem to overdrive a little bit. I think the 70 car just overdrove the corner a little too hard, and the 97 pushed wide just to prevent contact. And of course, it wasn't quite clear if the 97 was going to make the turn either. It was definitely a close call. So despite the setback, the 97 really just kind of picks back up onto the track and keeps it going, keeps the steam running, and really starts looking for that other opportunity to get around. Not quite sure what the 70 car was thinking towards the end of this race. I know they were communicating, just trying to figure out what happened at turn 1, and it resolved before the end of the session, but it was just more of close racing, and that's just kind of how it rolls. But the 97, I think if he had another lap, he could have made a real contention for the win here at this little practice race. So and that's pretty much how things finished up. All the cars provided one fast repair because we understand, racing happens, things can go wrong. So keep your time in the pits, at least for an initial mistake or maybe just bad luck, will still be provided during the series. And we saw there just the 56 getting his last time. And he did set a 22.898, and the MX-5 had a 125. So where are we going? Well, this year for our summer series, we're going to go to Charlotte Roads Course, Summit Point Raceway, Okayama's Full Circuit, Road Atlanta's Full Circuit, Watkins Glen Classic Boot, and we'll finish off at Daytona's Moto Circuit. So it seems like something you want to get your feet wet with and try out, or perhaps you've already run in one of our series before and want to try something new. Our signups are now open for the summer series, so links in the description below. See you then.